Hello, hola, buenas tardes. El día de hoy estaremos hablando sobre la Suprema Corte de los Estados Unidos. Sabemos que se murió la jueza de la Suprema Corte. Hello, today we're gonna be talking about the Supreme Court, and we know that the passing of the Associate Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg, and the importance of the Supreme Court. We're gonna be talking about the importance and also what implication it might have depending on who appoints the person to the Supreme Court. Eduardo, Eduardo nos acompaña el día de hoy. ¿Cómo estás, Eduardo?
Hola, ¿cómo están todos? Yo soy Eduardo Rodríguez, parte de Blue Light, y estamos aquí hoy para hablar de el corte más alto de este país, que se dice el Supreme Court. Y eso es una cosa muy importante porque ahorita este año tenemos elecciones y ese corte puede ser una cosa o puede ser una parte de esa elección muy importante. No sabemos, pero es muy posible que sí. So, la jueza que se basó, la señora jueza Ginsburg, que se dice Ginsburg, el nombre correcto es Ginsburg. Pero como quiera, aquí estamos para hacer eso y hablar de ella. So we're here today to talk about the Supreme Court, a very important court. This is a very important year because of the election, and this court will play a very important part in the election because of what we have. So we're here to talk also about the passing of the judge, Judge Ginsburg is actually her name. That's the proper way to pronounce it is Ginsburg, not Ginsburg, but a lot of people say Ginsburg. But that's how it works. So I guess now we can just go ahead and kind of get started with that. Raimundo, go ahead.
Yes. So, it's very important who gets appointed to the Supreme Court because of depending who gets elected, appointed to that position by the president. So, depending if the president who's currently in office appoints someone, or if they wait until the next election comes in and the next person who becomes the president appoints someone. So it depends, the rulings, because there's a lot of topics, issues that are very important to people: immigration, natural resources, elections. So all that plays a role. And so it's very important the Supreme Court. And, as it is, to the best of my knowledge, there are more conservatives in there in the Supreme Court as it is right now, but sometimes they might, rule in a certain way that it's not with the conservative ideas, and they tend to, side with the opinions of others, of the other associate justices. So the importance of appointing a person in there, depending on what side you are, it will, it, the way people are gonna see, you know, what's it called, the rulings is going to be reflected on that. So if you see if someone appoints, the president who's currently in office appoints a conservative, there's going to be more conservative, rulings. But if they wait until the next president gets elected, whoever gets elected, if it's for some reason it's the Biden, then there's going to be probably a Democrat in there, so the rulings are going to be more liberal. So it's very important. But before we go into, deep down into las cosas de la Suprema Corte y la importancia de poner una persona allí y cómo va a afectar, cómo van a decidir las cortes en temas importantes de fracking, elecciones, inmigración. Hablemos sobre la historia. Edward, can you give us a little bit about the history of the judge, the Supreme Court judge that just passed away?
Yeah, sure can. The judge has been on the court for a long time. She's one of the oldest, and she was a senior female on the court. She was born in 1933, and her real name is actually Joan. Everybody calls her Ruth Bader Ginsburg, but it's actually Joan Ruth Bader Ginsburg. The reason she doesn't use the name Joan anymore is because of the fact that when she was going to school, in public school in Brooklyn, where she was born, uh, she there was like 13, 14 girls that were all named Joan. So her mom told the teacher, "Look, why don't you do this? Why don't you call my daughter Ruth, and that way, she won't respond when you call the other ones." And and it worked out really good. But ever since then, she's used the name Ruth, and it stuck with just one of those deals. She's done a whole lot of stuff. She went to Cornell University. She got a degree there. She met her husband that she was married to the day she passed, and they had a kid before she went off to Harvard to get her law degree at Cornell. And she it was so bad for her back then. We're talking like 1933 is when she was born. So you're looking at the 50s when she finally decided to go to school and had an opportunity to go to school. It was so bad that when she graduated with a law degree, nobody would take her. Nobody wanted her. As a matter of fact, one of her teachers even told her to show you about how crazy things can get, from when you start off in life until later. One of the professors told her, you girls that are here today in Cornell, I think it was, uh, we're not really taking you guys serious. The reason is because, as far as I'm concerned, you're here taking up spaces for guys that are more qualified than you, guys, not girls. So when they graduated these girls, the first class out, nobody wanted to take them. Nobody wanted these young. So she got a job as a teacher, a law professor, and man, it was one of those deals where a lot of people didn't realize at the time how big racism was, and also how big discrimination was, even against uh, people of different genders. In this case, a female. And so she learned from that experience. She started working for certain organizations that fought civil rights cases, and she would go to the Supreme Court as the lead attorney. Out of, I think, 6 cases that she presented before the Supreme Court, she won 5. That's how good she was. And yet nobody thought about getting this young lady when she graduated from school. Then when she finally got an opportunity to get appointed somewhere as a judge, people realized this lady has a very uh, strong intellectual mind when it comes to law. She could remember things that people were amazed, but she knew what she was trying to say. She knew how to use the law and say it in her decisions, and they made for really great law. They really did, for great decisions. So she was responsible for a lot of things that nobody realized about. When she finally became a Supreme Court justice, she learned how to become more open as far as a person goes, because one of the things that she wanted to do is wanted to show that even though she had a background that in reality was conservative because her parents were very conservative, and then she became more liberal minded, she still wanted everybody to understand that she was going to dictate her decisions based on the law. And she did. She did that quite effectively. Everybody, thought of her as the notorious RBG. And the reason they gave her that was because when she got an idea on how she was going to decide on a case, she was literally very, very hard to persuade. There was no way in the world, unless you had unbelievable evidence, unbelievable information, she wasn't going to change her mind. So she's somebody that a lot of people liked. She was a lady that a lot of people don't like. She was very opinionated, and she wasn't even that tall. She was a little bitty lady. at the end of her career, most of her career. She was a little late, but she carried a big stick. Uh, and to show you how controversial she can be as a liberal-minded judge, when the NFL allowed for Colin to come out and kneel down during the anthem, it started that whole deal controversy with kneeling, for the anthem and that kind of stuff. She came out and said that what he did was, and I quote her, that was dumb. So a lot of people on the left side of politics, a lot of Democrats, did not like that because she was seen as the senior Democratic liberal-minded justice of the court. And here she is basically saying exactly what all the conservative Republicans were saying. But she believed that much, that the anthem, the flag should not be disrespected because they were the symbol, really, the symbol of the court. And when you disrespect the flag and the national anthem, you're in essence disrespecting the judicial branch of the government. And for her, that was a no-no. You just didn't do that. So there you go.
Definitely. An interesting person with an interesting background and who made history, like Eduardo said. So definitely. Eduardo, una pregunta, Eduardo. ¿Qué tan importante, como usted como miembro de LULA, qué le podría decir a la gente hispana y latina la importancia de la Suprema Corte? Nosotros los dos sabemos sobre la importancia de la política, la importancia de votar, tratamos que la gente vaya y vote, sabemos de la importancia de todos los temas que pasan en nuestras comunidades locales, pero también sabemos la importancia, la gran importancia sobre la Suprema Corte. ¿Y por qué? ¿Cómo le explicaría a usted, como una persona, la importancia de la Suprema Corte? Porque si me preguntaran a mí, yo le diría, pues son las personas que deciden cuando hay casos importantes que van que se van a la Corte Suprema. Y hay muchas cosas, está como el caso de DACA, el caso de los casos de migración, están como los recursos naturales con el fracking y con las elecciones. Sabemos que vienen unas elecciones, hay mucha gente que hablaba, que dice, ¿sabes qué? No sé si el que gane, pero si no está de mi lado, no lo voy a aceptar los resultados. Entonces, la importancia de la Suprema Corte es porque en sí el poder que tiene es el poder que todos la respetamos a la Suprema Corte y lo que dicen ellos es la ley basado en como ellos si dicen que está bien y que está mal, basado en lo que ellos se basan en la Constitución. ¿Qué diría usted, señor Eduardo, a la comunidad?
Bueno, la Suprema Corte es una cosa que es importante por esta razón. Ellos están encargados de una cosa que es muy delicado en este país y eso es derechos libres de la gente, la libre para hablar su voz, la libre para juntar, la libre para dar unas preguntas o derechos de unas preguntas contra el ministerio, el presidente, el gobierno, el derecho para tener una justicia de corte, para no estar, bueno, para no tener una oportunidad que le falta algo para ir adelante. So, ellos están encargados de todo esto, de libres y los derechos. Y eso es muy importante. ¿Por qué? Porque como estamos hablando aquí, si una persona es una persona como nosotros que hablamos, en las calles, en las comunidades, contra los alcaldes, los presidentes o gobiernos o lo que sea, tenemos que tener el libre para hacer y hablar y usar la voz para que podemos enseñar a la gente que hay alguien que mira algo mal y estamos tratando a correctar un error. Si no tenemos esos derechos, el gobierno puede hacer lo que ellos quieren. Vamos como si estamos en Cuba o Venezuela, la gente no tiene derechos, no tiene libres. So, cualquier cosa que quiere el gobierno, así va a ser. Aquí no se hace así. Este país um, está y el gobierno está aquí porque la gente dice que ellos tienen el derecho para, para estar encargados bueno, de los procesos que tenemos que tener cada día en la policía, al médico, las escuelas, cualquier cosa así. So,
Sí,
yeah, es una cosa muy importante. Supreme Court is very important for us because of the fact that it does have that. It protects our freedoms, it protects our rights, the right to speech, the right to assemble, the right to petition the government when they do something wrong. We need to have those things because people like us that are activists, we need to be able to know that we have the ability to go out into the streets and to the community and say things against the governor, the mayor, and the president. Otherwise, we don't have those freedoms, and without those freedoms, we end up like being like Cuba, Venezuela, and we don't want that. We want to be able to show because this country, this government, is the people give the uh, the representatives, the governors, and all those the opportunity to be in charge, not the other way around. So
definitely. It's so us. We're trying here to, in the show. Me and Eduardo, Maria couldn't join us for today, but she's gonna be tomorrow in our show tomorrow, Monday.
yep,
It's in English. We're gonna talking about homeschooling, the pros and cons, and it's gonna be an interesting show. Please join us tomorrow at 7 p.m. It's gonna be an hour and 15-minute long, so it's very interesting. But Eduardo mentioned it, the importance of the Supreme Court and people who get appointed to that by the presidents, by the current president or the president who can maybe be elected, depending, But when I'm trying to say the president appoints the Supreme Court justices, and it's very important. And we're not taking any side. What we're trying to say is that the importance, the significance, and the importance, and we're trying to explain that to the public so the public can understand why the Supreme Court is important. La importancia de la Corte, de la Suprema Corte es muy importante por las libertades civiles y como para poder, ellos toman casos importantes cuando tienen que ver con problemas que ya sea de la Constitución o cosas que pasen y, y la gente lo respeta y el gobierno avala provee ese respeto a ellos también, a la Corte Suprema. Es como si el día de hoy yo y Eduardo estamos hablando mal sobre, como dijo el gobernador o el alcalde o el presidente, basado en los fallos que ha tenido la Suprema Corte y como ellos leyeron la Constitución, se puede y se da permiso de que nosotros tengamos esa libertad, basado en que otros gobiernos no tienen esa libertad. There's in other countries, other governments, right? The Supreme Court, it's not, people sometimes they rule in a certain way that it's not very favorable to the people because they have a different type of government. So they don't follow the standard of the of like our nation, where they protect civil liberties, and you're able to do things like speak against the governor, speak against the mayor, speak against X, Y, and Z politician, or even the president. And here we have liberties, and as you can see right now, me and Eduardo are talking. We have this digital news media podcast, and we're able to talk and say things that are affecting the Hispanic and Latino community. Come here, present information, bring politicians. Sometimes we bring someone that are from a party, others that are different from another party, but it's to provide that information. And it's very important who gets appointed to the Supreme Court. And depending on the side that you are, you're probably happy right now, you're probably unhappy, but nobody's happy because the Supreme Court justice died. No, 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 no. We are human beings, and we are sad that happened. But now, because of that, because of whatever happened, right, because of the passing of the judge, now people are, going into this political battle. Y no sé, como le estaba explicando, como estaba diciendo el señor Eduardo, no es muy importante las libertades, las libertades civiles, y nadie está contento por lo que haya pasado, ¿verdad? Nadie quería que pasara eso, nadie le gusta cuando se pierde la vida de alguien, pero ahora que se murió la jueza, ya se abrió como una batalla política. ¿Quién pone la persona que está ahí en la Suprema Corte? ¿La pone el presidente que está ahorita o se esperan hasta cuando esté cuando venga el otro presidente, después de las elecciones? So, hay un problema, como se abrió un problema político, una batalla política, y ya sabemos que el presidente que está ahorita dijo que iba a poner una mujer, que iba a mover a su partido para poner una mujer. As we know, like we were mentioning a little bit before, nobody, because of what happened, it opens like a box, or like a Pandora box, or a battle in politics. People are gonna start, who gets to appoint the person to the Supreme Court. Would it be the current president, or should they wait until the election, after election, to appoint someone? But Eduardo, you want to mention anything?
Well, that's a good question. I mean, because it's something that's very important right now. Should we go ahead and find somebody to put into the space that's left open? Should we wait until as they say, the ink is dry, and the current justice who passed away? Should we wait till after her funeral to be respectful to that? Wow, those are tough questions, but I think the easiest way to answer it is this way: the country um, is a living, breathing, um, vibrant part of the world. And as such, just because somebody passes away, the business of the government, the business of this country doesn't stop. I mean, it just how it is. I mean, today I heard that somebody last night, two people were killed on the streets of Houston, and here we are. Our show still goes on. The TV will still go on. It doesn't stop just because somebody passed away. So in that way, we need to find somebody as quickly as possible. We need to go ahead and put that person into office as quickly as possible. Because why? Because we need a Supreme Court that's full all the time whenever we have the option, especially this year. It's an election year. It may be required to help settle some very important questions out of this election. So, is it important? Yeah. Now, I can also make the argument on the other side. I can make the argument saying, Karen, excuse me one time, please. Karen.
Yes, so like Eduardo was saying, it's very, very important, and issues that are gonna come out because of this election year, and things are gonna come up, issues, and depending who gets appointed. But like Eduardo said, you know, the government has to run. So depending on where you run, what side you are, you're either saying to please wait until after the election, or to do it, or if you're another side, you're probably saying point someone in there. But it's politics, and also the government, and so yes, and como decía, este es el gobierno, como el señor Eduardo decía, es el gobierno, y el gobierno tiene que trabajar. Hay obviamente una pelea entre la derecha y la izquierda, entre si nos esperamos hasta que se pasen las elecciones, y que la persona que sea elegida ponga una persona en la Suprema Corte, o la persona que está ahorita en la presidencia que ponga la persona que eliga a la persona que puede estar en la Suprema Corte. Obviamente es un proceso, el presidente elige una persona y el Senado lo confirma. Pues hay una batalla política, pero como dijo el señor Eduardo, el gobierno tiene que seguir. Entonces sería importante que pusiera una persona ahí, pero obviamente es una batalla política, es algo político, y no es en sentido pésame, no por lo que haya pasado con la jueza que se murió, pero sí. Eduardo, you were telling us.
Yes, I'm sorry about that. I got a quick phone call that we were waiting for, so I had to go and get that done. But uh, yeah, nobody is happy about a judge passing. Nobody is.
Nobody.
Why? Because it's one of those things where, we rely on these people. We rely on the judges, and when we have one pass away, we have to start all over almost, because their staff themselves, they're looking into different things that are going on in the courts and the different cases that are coming, and they're ready to give a decision. They're ready to help us make sense of what happened. And when they pass away, we have to start all over again. That means that whoever is going to be selected, now we have to wait on decisions, because they're going to have to learn, they're going to have to read, they're going to have to catch up. And in the Supreme Court, it's not about just, oh, well, let me see what you got. Okay, so, okay, the guy got arrested. And no, it's not like that. When they get ready to make a decision, that decision is going to affect over 350 million people in the United States that are here, born, raised, ready to go. And God knows how many more hundreds of millions of people that come and go from this country every single year. And the law or decision that they make, that particular decision is going to be on the books for the next 10, 15, 20, 30, 40, 50 years. We've got stuff on that we do as cops, that we deal with, that these laws that we're dealing with, they're over 100 years old. In immigration, when I was doing immigration, uh, some of the laws that we used literally were from 1930 something, and we had some that went back all the way to 1776 when this country started. Why? Because immigration is the only thing that is specifically mentioned in the Constitution. That's old. So yeah, we don't like when they die. We don't want them to die. We much rather they retire and go on and write books, and we get a chance to talk to them and learn a little bit more about how they feel personally. But when they pass away like this in office, it leaves a big hole for everybody.
Definitely, definitely. I agree with Eduardo, and it's the best way to put it, you know. And so yeah, it's the Supreme Court is very important, and they don't make laws, but they interpret whenever there's controversies, and whatever they say is a rule. It's the law of the land. Their decisions are there for years, and it's very sometimes it's difficult to return them. La importancia de la Suprema Corte es muy importante. A veces lo que ellos deciden, el fallo que tienen, se queda por años. Y ellos no hacen leyes. La Suprema Corte no hace leyes. Ellos interpretan casos que llegan a la Suprema Corte que son importantes, y ellos hacen un fallo, y ese fallo se queda por años, por años. Y a veces cambian, pero es muy difícil. Tengo entendido que son muy difíciles. Obviamente yo no soy un abogado, no soy un juez, no sé de cuánto tarde para hacer un cambio, pero sé que sí, es muy difícil llegar a la Suprema, que un caso llegue a la Suprema Corte, porque basado en cómo ellos deciden qué caso va a la Suprema Corte, pero también sé que una vez que hace un fallo, ese fallo se queda y tiene repercusiones, porque lo que dicen ellos, las otras cortes se avalan a eso, y ellos decidirán sobre ciertos casos, ya sean casos que sean menos, o sea, que sean similares a ese caso y que tengan que ver con ese caso, y se van a basar en esas opiniones. Entonces, muy importante. Señor Eduardo, any final
Yeah,
comments?
yeah. I wanted to say that that whatever happens, come November, um, this next judge is going to be there for a long time. We have an average right now of about 33 years for judges. So that means that by the time I'm 90, 93 probably, uh, these judges will still be there. So they affect everything. And that's important to know that, because it's the only thing that we have in this country that allows us to have equal justice. Everybody's talking about that right now, but let's make it very clear. The court is the only place to get equal justice. And when I say that, let me put it one more thing on that. If you're stopped by anybody, be it a politician, a policeman, or anybody on the street, if they are not a judge, don't fight them. Don't get in their way. If they say that you're doing something wrong, just go with the flow for a little while. You have the opportunity to go before a judge. And when you do, that is when you'll have your voice. Then you can say anything you want to. Now you can go ahead and argue that this guy was right or this guy was wrong and that the arrest was right or the arrest was wrong. Now's the time to do it. That's what the judges are for, so that we don't end up with people getting hurt. We don't end up with riots. We don't end up with marches that burn down buildings. We don't want that. That only hurts all of us. It doesn't help. So the court has not had an opportunity to play its part in what's going on politically in the streets. If we allow it to, we won't have these problems because their job is to make sure we don't have discrimination. Their job is to make sure that there's no racism. But we haven't given them the chance. So what you're seeing right now in the streets, it's our fault. Because we have a whole branch called the judicial branch. We have a whole mess of people in one part of the government whose whole job is to make sure that we are treated equal and right. And we're not giving them that chance. So that is my last little piece there on the deal. So.
Definitivamente, definitivamente de acuerdo con el señor Eduardo. La importancia del sistema judicial es que las personas tengan derechos iguales, que no haya discriminación y algunos de los, dependiendo en qué estado vivas, se eligen los jueces. Hay algunos que son apuntados por los gobernadores, tengo entendido, como aquí en el estado de Texas, son electos a través del voto popular, pero son muy importantes las personas, que sabemos que en la Suprema Corte ellos son el presidente es el que elige, el Senado confirma, entonces siempre hay un proceso, pero los jueces son las personas que son las que tienen que impartir que no haya discriminación, que siempre personas tengan los derechos iguales sin importar raza, etnicidad o creencia religiosa o creencia basado en qué persona, cómo te identifiques, que no haya discriminación. Entonces, recuerde que mañana tenemos un show sobre educación, sobre la educación de casa, la importancia, las ventajas y desventajas a las 7 p.m. es en inglés. A reminder that tomorrow we have a show. It's going to be about homeschooling. It's going to be talking about the pros and cons. And we're going to have some interesting people come on the show. Very important. We're going to have some professors and some, people who have done homeschooling. And we're going to be talking about important things, the pros and cons. As there's a lot of people because of the pandemic who are not going to send their schools, their kids, their kids to school because, because there's a lot of problems whenever you send a kid to school and then, there's still a pandemic happening. So we're going to be talking about, the pros and cons of homeschooling. And Eduardo is going to help us go more into detail about homeschooling. So yeah, join us tomorrow. And a reminder: if you own a business, you have a law firm, or you have a restaurant, or that you want to promote with us, please send us an email. It's an email here in our account, in our social media account, wherever you are watching us, and we're happily able to promote your business. Obviously, if you make a small donation to us, so we can continue. More than anything, promoting the show, because whatever money we get, it's not money that we're gonna keep. It's money that we're gonna use to promote the show and use that money to make this content available to the most people that we can. And more than anything, is we're trying to provide a voice of information. Provide that information to the Hispanic and Latino communities, so they're able to learn. Some of the things that are happening. Sometimes, the Hispanic community, it's not, they don't provide that information to them, even though the information is free. Other people are, very able to do that. Other communities are well established and providing information. And they have key figures. They go out in organizations, but obviously for us, we don't have that, to provide information freely. It's sponsored by the U.S. government or local governments. So that's what we're trying to do. But the difference from the difference between us and the news is that here we bring people who are elected officials or people who are in charge of X, Y, and Z office who make decisions for people who are Hispanic and Latinos and for all. And we allow them to speak freely and they give the information. It's information from, from them. So, it's accurate information. And, it informs the Hispanic and the Latino community, but also others, because, so Edward, you want to mention anything, any last comments about, the importance of us providing information and, people trying if they're trying to promote their business or whatever cause they want, we can always contact us on our email and our phone number that's here on this social media platform.
Yeah, I agree with him 100%. That's one of the things that we're trying to do. We're trying to get good information out to everybody. Now, I know a lot. I've worked in a lot of different places, and my co-host Raimundo is also knows a ton of stuff with regards to politics and that kind of stuff as well. But we don't want you to know what our opinion is. We will tell you. We're going to be having a little bit of this, a little bit of that. But at the end of the day, we hope to have people that are in the office right now, so that when you ask us a question or we ask a question for you, we're going to get the answer from the guy who actually makes the decision. Not me, who thinks I know what it is, but the guy who sits there and says, if you come in my office tomorrow and you ask me this, this, and this, I am going to tell you this, this, and this. That's what we try to get you. That way, when we tell you, hey, you know what? If your kids, if you don't have any documents and your kids need the CHIP program, you go down there and you get it and you sign the paperwork and you don't worry about it, because we'll have somebody here to tell you from that agency there's nothing immigration is going to do to you. Why? It's not going to be held against you, because that belongs to the kids, not you. But because the law says that you are the parent, you have to sign. But that doesn't mean that you're getting the benefit. They are getting the benefit.
Definitely.
So those are things that are very important. But when we pass that kind of information, like I just did, yes, I know that for a fact. But the next time I say that, I hope to have somebody here to be able to tell you from that agency. That way you don't take my word for it. We're not trying to sit here and get you to like us. We're not trying to do that. We're just trying to get you some good information so that you can live your day every single day, and your kids and your spouse and everybody else that's part of your family, because we need for you to be to know. It helps all of us when you know more.
All right. Que pasen buenas noches todos. Have a great night and stay safe. And we will see you tomorrow. Nos miramos mañana a las 7 de la tarde. We see you tomorrow at 7 p.m. Have a great night. Bye.